Blue Lock dropped peak this week. As in this chapter, we get to see more of the new Gen World 11 England player. However, his plan seems to have backfired, but to know more, you will have to wait. But trust me, there is a ton more stuff, so get ready. Alright, so starting off this chapter, also called Super Dark Horse, we see Teddy with the ball at his feet. Meanwhile, the Blue Lock players are still left in total awe, as they are unsure of who this beast is. But thankfully, we then see that Natsu has some insane ball knowledge, as he feels like the name Teddy Knight sounds familiar, and asks if that isn't the newest member of the new generation World 11, which he sure is. After that, we see that Teddy decides to once again put the gear into action as he starts to dash to all of them. He goes to them and asks if ego isn't basically getting in the way of living, saying that it causes conflicts with others and painful comparisons, while Teddy is just casually spitting facts like never before. We also see him completely destroying the ankles of both Nanase and Raichi, who can't do anything at all. Raichi, in his head, thinks that Teddy's dribbling is so irregular that he has no idea what he is going to do next. Also, side note, it has been a while since we saw Raichi, so it's good to see him. After that, Teddy does like one of the coldest slides in the series. Like, even if you don't like him, you can't tell me that this wasn't super dope. Anyway, Teddy seems to wake up and tells them that it's why a worthless puppet himself just isn't suited to live as an egotist, and with that one line right there, I just know that he's going to unlock the most disgusting ego later on in the series. It then gets completely dark behind Teddy, as he then looks up and asks them how many of them he needs to get past before they decide to give up. But we then see our two goats appearing right behind him, as we see both Rin and Isagi going to him while stretching. Isagi says that he thought that they would be late, so they came over to see what's up, and Rin adds on as he asks which team's vermin slipped in here. We then move into a close-up shot of both of them, where Isagi just asks if they steal the ball from him, then he will get out of here, right? Rin on the side really looks annoyed while saying that they will play with him, so he needs to bring it, calling Teddy a worthless puppet, and I'm not going to lie, but when these two are working together, then they might be one of the scariest duos out there ever. We then see the other Blue Lockers, finally seeing them, and they seem happy to have them here. Meanwhile, Teddy just looks annoyed as he says, "Jolly good," and with that, the three of them start to rush right at each other in no time. Rin seems to be getting close to him first, but Teddy then tries to slip past him with a turn to the left side. But behind Rin, there was Isagi lying, as he even has his meta-vision eyes out and tries to come in for a slide tackle on Teddy, who somehow manages to read it and jump over it. But not long after, he suddenly realizes that something is off since he stopped midair, and we then see that it was Rin who grabbed a hold of his jacket. Teddy looks at Rin, super annoyed, and tells him that it's not allowed. Rin, however, really couldn't care any less at all, as he tells Teddy that he is tepid and starts to use all of his strength to slam him into the ground while the ball is still soaring in the sky. But then the craziest thing happens, as I'm not sure if Teddy is a buddy of Kiora or what is going on, as before he gets slammed into the ground, he uses his arm and gets on top of Rin's shoulder, where he starts to spin, but that's not even close to the amount of disrespect that happens, as Teddy then grabs a hold of Rin's head. Yeah, I really mean his whole head. And while being on top of him, he tells him that those egotists sure are barbaric, looking really just, I don't even know how to describe that emotion, but I guess kind of sad, as he says that he never wants to be like them. But of course, after that, we start to see a ton of puzzle pieces starting to come by, and with that, we see Isagi, who jumps right into it and steals the ball from Teddy. While he does the craziest steal of all time, he tells Teddy that it's a coincidence, calling him an egoless weirdo, as he then looks back at him and tells him that he never wants to be like him. We then cut to Bachira on the side, who has a bright smile while complimenting Isagi's play. Teddy also seems to be taking notice of it before then. When he gets onto the ground, he asks Isagi who he is. Isagi then looks back with pure determination and fire in his eyes, as he tells Teddy that he is Blue Lock's Isagi. Teddy looks a bit let down before telling him that he sees. He then continues and asks if, without Blue Lock, he would just be Isagi, which is an obvious statement, and Isagi feels the same, as he can't believe what a dumb question. Teddy just asks, and can then just look at Teddy super confusedly. But after that, we see Teddy, who starts to walk away while waving his hand and telling them that he's just a puppet who will die to give England a World Cup victory. He then looks back, saying that he is, and that he is going to see them tomorrow. By the way, just a thing that I noticed is that Teddy seems to be saying some of the phrases 2 times instead of 1, just like Kurona does sometimes, which is pretty interesting. Anyway, with that, Teddy then finally leaves the room, and we see Kurona looking at him leaving and scaring him away with his insane aura so that Teddy doesn't come back. Meanwhile, Chigiri is just in shock and asks who he is. Otoya looks super annoyed as he explains that he's a freak, and Aryu tells them that his skills are stylish though. We then move to Karasu, who looks a bit more serious as he tells the players that they could only stop him by breaking the rules, explaining that he bets that his dribbling is the key to England's strategy. Hiyori looks back at him and says that he was seriously unreal, telling them that he felt like none of them could stop him in a one-on-one. But as Aiku hears that, he tells all of them to just calm down for a second. He tells them all that it was purely his aim. He explains that he can bet them that Teddy came here just to plant that doubt in their minds. But Aiku then starts to look smug as he says that the fact that they resorted to this proves England is just that desperate to win. Isagi on the side then agrees with him and says that he is correct, continuing while saying that if they don't win this, then it's all over. Their lives are riding on this, calling it the ultimate battle. But then, he quickly looks in as he looks fiercely at them and asks if this isn't the situation that's helped their egos evolve and get stronger. All of them are then just silent, looking at him. But Isagi becomes Teacher Isagi as he explains that he has been wondering. He asks them why they end up so scattered in the match against France, asking if it was because they doubted that they could be the world's best, like how Ego said. On the other side, of course, France was crazy strong, and their individual skills weren't quite up to snuff, and that was the biggest problem. But even then, he asks them if that was them tricking themselves into thinking that they were the strongest, and that the world revolved around them. Hiyori adds on that he thinks that Isagi might be right, and Chigiri also joins in by noting that they got really popular from Blue Lock TV after all. Isagi tells them that they are all right on the money, explaining that they were the center of attention among U20 teams before the World Cup even started, and after that overwhelming victory against Nigeria, they lost their balance. But when thinking about it, Japan was never considered a favorite to win anyway, explaining that they are not the birthplace of soccer like England, or even a soccer superpower like Brazil. Instead, their soccer history is fairly brief, and most of that history is yet to be written. Plus, when it comes to all of them gathered here in Blue Lock, none of them were the sort of elite players who could have gone to play overseas, as they were just a bunch of outcasts and failures who did things in their own way. It then gets completely dark behind Isagi before he lets out a little smile while telling them to stop fooling themselves and that this team isn't the center of the world. Instead, they came together in an insane place in the corner of the world, and they evolved with a twisted fanaticism. With that, we see the craziest smile on our poster boy as he tells them that Blue Lock is a super dark horse that will then devour the world. Chigiri laughs right away as he tells him that thinking that way definitely gets him fired up. Aiku adds on that he understands and that this team's gotten fragmented, so they need a unifying mindset. Isagi says that he is right, and with this in mind, they can still have their own vision of the world's best. We also see Bachira just smiling at him, which is so wholesome. Before we then move on to Isagi, looking straight up like a final boss, as he has the chain going around him with an intense fire on it, as he looks right at the other players and tells them to let's dream the same dream and calls them egotists. Ending it, we see that it's only 24 hours until the match against England. But with that said, I'm a bit speechless by this insane chapter that we got today. It was way better than what was explained in the leaks, as their conversations and just the panels themselves looked wild. While on the topic, I want to let you know that it sounds like the title will be In the Middle of a Dream, but I'm almost certain that it's a mistranslation, so don't believe it too much. Also, I have seen some people saying that there's a break week next week, but it's also the same people who got it wrong the last time, so take it with a grain of salt. I just felt like I at least had to tell you so that you would be ready if that were to be the case. But anyway, this chapter was really solid. I like how Teddy wanted to go in there to just scare them away from the match, but ended up just evolving all of their egos, and pretty certainly gave them a pretty big power spike. But at the same time, it was without a doubt necessary, as I believe that the game against England is for sure going to be a tough one. With all of that said, I would give this chapter a decent 8 out of 10, but let me know down in the comments how you would rate this chapter, and at the same time, what your favorite moment of this chapter was. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like. Also, if you can, hype the video down below, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.